The rain came down in silver sheets, blurring the windshield of Daniel Royce's sleek black Mercedes. He sat there for a long moment outside the gates of his construction site, staring through the rippling glass at the swarm of workers trudging through mud and noise. He didn't know why he had come in person that morning. He rarely did anymore. When you owned half the skyline of New York, you didn't show up to watch bricks being laid. But something had pulled him there. Maybe it was the date, 5 years to the day since his daughter Lily had disappeared. He rubbed his temple, trying to shake the ache that never left. She had been only 16, all laughter and mischief, when she vanished after a school trip upstate. Police found her backpack near a river, but no trace of her body. He had never stopped searching, not really. He'd poured millions into private investigators, scoured the country, even funded missing children charities in her name. But nothing filled the silence she left behind. The radio crackled with a weather warning, and Daniel finally sighed and opened the door. The cold hit him like a slap. He walked toward the site, ignoring the surprised stares from foremen and workers. His Italian shoes sank into the mud. The clang of steel and the hum of machinery filled the air, raw, relentless, alive. Then, he saw her. At first, it was just a flash, a young woman balancing on scaffolding, her helmet tilted low, a smudge of dust streaking her cheek. But when she looked down, time stopped. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The same honey-brown eyes. The same small scar above the right eyebrow. The same way she bit her lip when she was focused. Lily? The word tore out of him before he could stop it. The girl looked down, confused. Sir? He stumbled forward, heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst. Lily! The workers stopped, glancing at one another. The girl climbed down the ladder, frowning slightly. Up close, she looked older, maybe 21. Her hair was darker, tied messily at the back. But her face, God, it was her face. I'm sorry, Daniel stammered. You look exactly like my daughter. She hesitated, removing her gloves. I think you've got the wrong person, sir. My name's Emma. Emma Clark. But he couldn't stop staring. The way she tilted her head. The tremble in her voice. Every fiber of him screamed that this wasn't just resemblance. This was her. Where are you from? He asked quietly. Upstate, she said. A small town near Albany. Daniel felt his knees weaken. Lily's school trip had been near Albany. He swallowed hard. Do you have any family? She shrugged uneasily. I grew up in foster care. Never knew my parents. Look, Mr. Royce, I really need to get back to work. But he wasn't listening. His pulse roared in his ears. Please, he said softly, almost pleading. Just have dinner with me tonight. No strings. I need to understand. Emma hesitated. She looked at his expensive suit, the desperation in his eyes, and the sincerity that cracked his composure. Finally, she nodded. Okay. Dinner. But I'm not who you think I am. The restaurant was quiet, the kind of place where the silverware gleamed like moonlight. Emma looked wildly out of place in her worn jacket and jeans, and she seemed to know it. Daniel ordered for both of them, though she barely touched her food. He studied her with trembling hands. Every gesture, every flicker of her expression was like watching a ghost breathe again. Can you tell me about your childhood? He asked gently. Emma looked down at her plate. There's not much to tell. I was found wandering near a river when I was about 6. They said I must have fallen in, but I didn't remember anything before that. I bounced around foster homes after that. I started working young. That's my life. The fork slipped from Daniel's hand. Near a river. At 6 years old. That was the year Lily disappeared. His throat tightened. Do you remember your name before that? She frowned. No. They tried therapy, hypnosis, all that stuff. But it's just blank. Tears blurred his vision. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a photograph, a picture of Lily at age 6, smiling gap-toothed beside a golden retriever. Emma stared at it for a long time. Her hand trembled as she traced the image. "That's me," she whispered. "I mean, it feels like me. I've seen that face in dreams." Daniel couldn't hold back anymore. He reached across the table and took her hand, his own shaking. "You're her," he said. "You're my Lily." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "No, that can't be possible. My foster records." "Could be wrong," he said hoarsely. "You were found near a river, the same river they found your backpack. You were 6. You don't remember anything before." "Lily, his voice cracked. "I never stopped looking for you." She pulled her hand back, overwhelmed. "I don't know what to believe." Over the next few days, Daniel threw everything he had into finding the truth. DNA tests were arranged within hours, private investigators reopened old files, and even the police got involved quietly. While waiting for results, Emma spent time with him, hesitant at first, then curious. She visited his mansion, filled with photos of Lily through the years, birthdays, vacations, her piano recitals. Emma would linger in front of them, touching the frames as though they were fragments of herself she'd forgotten. One afternoon, Daniel found her sitting in Lily's old room, staring at the pale blue walls and the shelf of stuffed animals. "I remember this bear," she said quietly, picking up a small, worn teddy with a missing ear. "I used to call him Buttons." Daniel froze. No one else had known that name. Not even the press. He sank to his knees beside her, tears streaming down his face. "You remember," he whispered. She nodded slowly. "It's like pieces coming back. Water. Cold. Someone pulling me out. Then nothing." When the DNA results came, the lab director called personally. "Mr. Royce," he said, voice thick with disbelief. "It's a 99.9% match. She's your daughter." Daniel broke down completely. The story made headlines within days. Millionaire reunites with daughter missing for 15 years. But beyond the media frenzy, what mattered most was the quiet, halting rebuilding of their lives. Emma, Lily, struggled. She had spent years surviving on her own, and now she was suddenly thrust into wealth, cameras, and a father's suffocating love she barely remembered. One evening, after a particularly tense argument about her quitting work, she shouted, "You can't just erase who I am, Dad. I worked for everything I have. I'm not that little girl anymore." Daniel stood in stunned silence. She was right. In his desperation to reclaim the daughter he'd lost, he'd forgotten she had lived another life. He nodded slowly. "You're right," he said softly. "Emma, Lily, whoever you choose to be, I'll love you all the same." Something shifted between them after that. She began helping him at his charity foundation, using her story to speak to runaways and foster youth. She refused the mansion and chose a small apartment instead, but she had dinner with him every Sunday. Months later, they stood together by the river where she'd been found. The same water that had once separated them now shimmered peacefully in the sun. "Do you remember anything else?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Just flashes. A hand letting go. A voice calling my name. But it doesn't hurt anymore." He took her hand. "Neither does mine." They stood there for a long time, the wind carrying away the years of loss and longing. When they turned to leave, Emma stopped. "Dad," she said softly. "Yes?" "Thank you for never giving up." He smiled through tears. "I couldn't. Love doesn't end, it just waits." As they walked away, the river whispered behind them, carrying not sorrow, but peace. And for the first time in 15 years, Daniel Royce felt whole again. Because sometimes, miracles don't come with thunder or angels. Sometimes, they come wearing a hard hat, covered in dust, looking exactly like the hope you thought you'd lost forever.